Hello and welcome to Monday Madness, the show where we take unorthodox strategies and we make them as successful as possible. This week we're taking a look at one of my personal favorites, the Mass Scout strategy. The idea is very simple. Make scouts, make more scouts, and then win the game with your scouts. There are many civs that can be considered for this strategy. Mongols, Magyars, Slavs, Khmer, Franks, choose your pick. Now let's get into some games. In the first game I'm playing as the Khmer, and I'm using a rather unique feature for the Khmer here, which involves skipping loom for an early bloodlines. Of course you can do this with any civilization, but it's less risky with Khmer since they are able to hide their villagers in houses. Furthermore, I don't make a barracks and instead make a secondary stable. Khmer also having that sweet farming bonus which allows me to get more food, which we're gonna need a lot of. Our opponent, who's playing as the Ethiopians, is going for the very standard defensive wall and go for the faster castle strategy. He makes a few units to defend and already it looks like I won't be able to do much damage here. But I already have a few scouts and I attack his walls on all sides, and eventually my huffing and puffing pays off and I break through the palisades. I managed to snag a bunch of vills here and there, but eventually I am shown off by a force of Ethiopian archers with fletching backed up by spears. He also plugs the gap behind me, separating my two armies, but I go for a distraction attack for his wood line, while I break down his barracks. At this moment I have 30 fully upgraded scouts in his base, and he has around 10 archers defending, and he's well on his way to Castle Age. I should be even further ahead on villagers here, had I remembered to make them. This is just human error on my side and not a part of the strategy. If you want to try to make this strategy yourself, you can make it even more viable by choosing to add villagers. Once he reaches Castle Age, I feel obligated to trade my scouts for his army, as the thought of dealing with a mass Ethiopian crossbowman is an intimidating one. I trade rather well, but one fact that I did overlook is that Ethiopians also get free pikemen, and my opponent has added another 4 barracks. Yikes, he really doesn't like scouts. At this point it looks like it's going to be hard to deal more damage here, so I chose to go up to Castle Age and upgrade to Light Cav. Once in Castle Age, I charge at him again when I have a decent number of Light Cav. He has a cute little force of camels, pikemen and crossbows, all units that are good to counter scouts in their own rights, but they are no match for my horde of Light Cav. Eventually, after killing countless of villagers and 2 TCs with only the use of Light Cav, my opponent resigns. In game number 2, I'm once again playing as the Khmer, but this time my build is not as good as it was last game. This time I get my sheep stolen because I was busy pushing a deer, and he also sends forward a drush on my non-loomed villagers. But being the Khmer, I can keep my villagers safe and I go for the counter-attack. I manage to get a few villager picks here and there, and I cause a general state of panic in his economy. But eventually he quick walls his resources and trains spearmen, so my attack gets stalled. From this moment, if you feel that you can't cause more damage, you can either choose to go for the smarter approach, which is to go castle and add some siege, or to never take your foot off the gas and just keep flooding scouts. Guess which one I pick? Of course I go for the more aggressive and fun approach. When in doubt, make more scouts, am I right? Right. Well, I try my best to keep his gaps in the wall open, but eventually he locks me out completely. This is bad. An important part of never taking your foot off the gas is that you also have to do damage. Our opponent is having an excellent defense here with quick walls and spears. Eventually he also adds more TCs and gets pikemen, and now there's no alternative but for me to go Castle Age myself. So now, with all the upgrades on my superior Light Cav, I charge at him again, and I lose my entire army for just a handful of villagers. At first glance, it might not look like this is worth it, but keep in mind I'm also idling his whole economy, and with 4 stables reinforcing, I quickly replenish my numbers and attack again, and 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 again. I know I'm making very good progress when he shouts to leave him alone, which of course is not a part of the strategy. I'm able to replenish my numbers just as fast as he can kill them, even though he's making nothing but pikes and essentially he can't even leave his town center. The kill to death ratio isn't even that bad at this moment. After much resilience, my opponent is completely overwhelmed and he yields to the mass scouts. He'll think twice before stealing my sheep in the future. Game number 3 is sent to us by dear viewer Paterna. Paterna is playing as the Spanish and his opponent is playing as the Chinese. The Spanish don't actually have a specific bonus for this strategy, but the blacksmith upgrades don't cost gold, which I did struggle a bit in my own games to collect, so that could come in handy later on. Paterna is sending forward a spear to soak up some damage from the enemy spear, and he manages to kill 3 villagers before retreating, having only lost his spear in the process. Later on he adds scalebarding armor and bloodlines, and he can easily stroll under the enemy town center and causing a lot of idle time just by dancing around the enemy base. Red is quick walling and adding a lot of spearmen in defense, but Paterna manages to find 2 villagers even so. Since Red still hasn't walled around his town center, Paterna can just walk past with his fully upgraded scout and manages to get in the wood line again, and this time killing another 5 villagers. Unlike myself, Paterna actually knows how to add villagers at the same time as he's attacking, and he's enjoying the benefit of having a 21 villager lead at this point, which is more than insane. Red actually manages to go to Castle Age faster here, and crossbows with Bodkin is a little bit too much for feudal scouts to handle, so Paterna goes Castle Age himself. Red goes for a counterattack, but Paterna's upgrade comes in just in time, and Red is forced back. Being way behind in eco at this moment, and just even in technology, Red is at a pretty big deficit here. Paterna adds siege to his growing horde of cavalry, and Red resigns after losing his whole army even though he's sitting under the town center. Mass Scouts is just too good. The 4th game is sent to us by our reigning meme champion PPC. PPC is playing as the Magyars for the cheaper scouts in the early forging, and his opponent is playing as the Aztecs. Initially, PPC is just running around the base and not accomplishing much of anything, but if you look at the villager difference, his presence alone has given him a 3 villager advantage. Blue seems quite safe here and doesn't feel the need to wall, even though he's losing villagers left and right, and the villager lead has now increased to 6. Even though PPC has put on a lot of pressure, Blue manages to go up to Castle Age, which to be honest doesn't benefit him too much if he can't make use of that technological advantage. It's only actually put him back even further on villagers, and PPC's eco is now more than twice than that of his opponent. Blue sends out some eagles for a counterattack, and they do manage to kill a few villagers, but it's nothing crippling and they are dealt with quickly. PPC has now gone to Castle Age himself and gotten all the upgrades on his cavalry, and for some reason Blue is refusing to wall his base, and once again the scouts reign supreme. Unfortunately, that was the last game I had time to review this week. I had a whole bunch of other great games that there was just not enough time to get around to. I've had a great time playing and reviewing these games, and this is a strategy that I can really recommend that you try out yourself. It's a lot of fun. So since there are no more games this week, we are just going to go for the summary of the Mass Scouts right here. The Mass Scouts is an incredibly fun and aggressive strategy that you can do with most civilizations. It's one of those strategies that shouldn't work on paper. Logically, you would just slow down your Castle Age and leave you at a technological and economical disadvantage, but the distraction and the trading army for eco concept just works. It might not make the most sense, but that's just making the strategy all the more beautiful when it works. It's a very easy build to master, and it doesn't require too much micro. I think the best counter to this strategy is to wall your base with stone walls and make some knights or camels for a counterattack. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Monday Madness. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed the content, and subscribe not to miss out on future videos. You can also join my Discord to take a sneak peek at the next episode's strategy. Maybe I'll be reviewing your games next week. Bye for now and have a nice day.